Hi everybody and happy Friday. Hope you're having a great day and welcome to this week's Q&A. Thank you very much for everybody who spent the time sending in questions this week. I got a lot of good ones, but one I got the question the most was what are closing costs? And so I thought I would spend today's entire Q&A just talking about closing costs because whether you are a buyer or a seller, of course this applies. So let me just get a little chart out for you. The first thing that we can talk about with regards to closing costs are legal fees. So whether you're buying or selling, that's somewhere in between around $800 to $1,000. You'll find that if you have a lawyer that is helping you close both a buyer and a seller transaction, it could be a little bit lower. But for most of you, it'll be in and around the $800 to $1,000 range. Okay, and there's some different things that apply there. For example, title insurance and things like that can add an additional cost. The big question I get from buyers is, what's land transfer tax going to be? Now, land transfer tax is a huge expense, as we all know, especially if you live in the city of Toronto, because you have to pay double land transfer tax. If you're buying in Toronto, you pay for Toronto tax and you pay also a provincial tax. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But before I do, I just want to bring up one point, and that is a lot of people will say, say you're purchasing a property with another person, and let's say it's your wife, and your wife has not owned property in the city before or anywhere before, but you have, do you still have to pay land transfer tax? And the answer is yes, you do. And if two of you are going to be on title, that means that both of you have to pay. So just so you're understanding of that, it's regardless of whether one of you is owned and one of you hasn't, you will have to pay. So when we are looking at land transfer tax, it's a very specific calculation, and you can go to my website anytime to pick up the calendar there to find out what you would owe in land transfer tax. But I gave a rough amount here of $800,000. And in this case, it would be evenly split between provincial and municipal land transfer tax, both being $12,475. So on a purchase price of $800,000, you'd pay $24,950 in land transfer tax. Ouch, I know. Nothing we can do about that. That's just the way it is. So in terms of a buyer, this is pretty much what the bulk of your costs are going to be. You have to also factor in things like movers and maybe cleaning costs or anything like that. But otherwise, this is the bulk of it. Now, when it comes to sellers, your main portion of commission of cost, of course, is commission. So in and around the GTA, the average commission amount is 5%. So on $800,000, we'd be looking at about $40,000. But I want you to remember one other thing, and that is you pay HST on top of commission. And also keep in mind that the 5% is split, of course, between the listing agent, what we call a listing agent, and also the buyer's agent or the buyer representation. So it's usually 2.5 and 2.5. And 2.5 to the buyer representation side is absolutely standard, and I would say pretty much non-negotiable. So I hope that clears up some costs for you, and I'm happy as always to answer any questions. Just reach out anytime, and I wish you a great day. And as I said before, if you have any specific questions that I can address next Friday, please let me know, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.